Now, there's another component, which is what about the class cuts at right before or after? And that's kind of related to those marginal costs. And this is something we're in right now. And I was just in a meeting with one of our math instructors, and he was talking about how his class was canceled for low enrollment. And I intend to reach out to him and find out exactly what that enrollment is. But in any event, this is an example of the timeline that was sent out to us at Merit, at least, on how classes are being evaluated and not necessarily cut. And, honestly, I think, at least at Merit, as I'm most familiar with, I think the administrators and the deans and the VPI, I think they work hard to keep as many classes as they can that make sense and that serve students. But I still have a problem with cutting classes at the last minute, and it has to do with accountability and fairness and who's responsible for classes that have no enrollment. And I state right here, and I stated it almost a year ago in my productivity presentation on the problem with productivity. And I started off by saying, no classes should be cut at the last minute without the instructor's consent. And so why would I say such a bold statement, make such a bold statement? Well, I say, ask these questions. Why should instructors bear the enrollment risk and not the district? Should not those who make the scheduling decisions be held accountable and bear the economic risk if things don't work out as planned? Why are instructors held economically accountable instead of administrators, colleges, and the district, especially while we are under the hold harmless? And again, we should never cancel a class for low enrollment. And it's too disruptive to students. They signed up, there's only 7 of us, but how much does that really net cost the district to run that course? Students may ask. I ask when I am in a course and it gets canceled, I got to find another class. This is a real pain. So it's too disruptive. It's costly, obviously, to the instructors who are counting on that class. It's not their fault that they were assigned a class. And part-time instructor, especially these days, you hear these stories all the time. It's like, oh, you're a part-time instructor, we want to go face-to-face, you got to take the face-to-face class. You take the face-to-face class, that's fine, and then the face-to-face class doesn't fill, and then it gets cut. And so you've tied up your opportunities waiting for this face-to-face class, and then you bear the economic risk when ultimately it gets canceled. It's too disruptive, costly to instructors, and shifts the burden and the accountability away from the actual decision makers. Who made the decision to make that class face-to-face? Well, that comes from the top. We want to get everybody, back on campus, back face-to-face, back to the old days. Well, students don't always want the old days. They want to take classes online, and they're voting, on their Campus Solutions website. And just as an example, and these are very rough numbers, and numbers may vary depending upon the instructor and the wages, et cetera, but very roughly speaking, canceling a 3-unit class with 5 students cost the instructor, everything he was scheduled to make in wages and benefit for that semester. while keeping the class, it only costs the college about $2,000. If you look at the students, if you are valuing the students based on the student-centered funding formula and the revenue that would bring in under that formula and the tuition the students are paying, it's a money loser for the college, but not as much of a money loser as it is for that instructor. So why would we, and that's not even counting the cost and disruption to those students who, if the class get canceled, now they've got to find a different class. It may not fit their schedule. Maybe they were counting on that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And not to mention the disruption, the human cost to the instructor, who, in addition to the monetary cost.